Incredibly excited to be joined by a Hall of Famer, a Super Bowl winner, NBC Sports football analyst, Tony Dungy. Tony, thank you so much for making time for us. I know what a fan of just the sport you are. How much have you enjoyed kind of this resurgence for Washington?
I have loved it. It kind of reminds me of when I went to Tampa Bay in the mid 90s, and Tampa hadn't been winning. And all of a sudden, we kind of put it together. The fans, everybody gets excited. The stadium sold out again. And you love to see that. And Dan Quinn, I've gotten to know him over the years. Great guy, wonderful coach. And you just love to see this story. And Jayden Daniels played for Herm Edwards, one of my best friends at Arizona State. So I've got a few connections there, and it's been awesome to see.
When you talk about Dan Quinn, you're a guy that won the Super Bowl in your second stop, right? Like those Bucks teams were legendary. Those defenses were incredible, but you broke through on your second stop. DQ's a guy that's gotten a second chance here in Washington. What does it mean for a coach when they get that second chance?
It's really something you don't know if it's going to happen or not. You Dan did a great job in Atlanta. You have to move on. You get fired, and okay, what can I do? And he goes to Dallas and puts together some tremendous defenses. So you think this may be my niche, and if we win a Super Bowl with Dallas, that'll be great. But when you get that second opportunity, I can tell you it's energizing, and you can tell by the way the team has rallied around him what he has brought to the table. And I think we can tell in Dallas maybe a little bit of what they're missing.
Oh, for sure. And not to mention like some of the players they brought in here, I think made a really big difference from Dallas. A guy like Dante Fowler, for example, who is playing really good football, top five in the league in sacks, was kind of a backup, like a rotational piece. What have you thought about DQ's defense in Washington so far?
That's been the kind of understated piece. Everybody looks at the offense and how much improvement they've made with Jayden, and you don't expect that from a rookie quarterback. But their defense has been outstanding, and they've kept them in games, and they've made those winning stops when they've needed it. And you just see the energy and the big plays, and that's what Coach Quinn is noted for. And I just think that they're going to put this whole thing together. They're going to be a tough team for a number of years here.
It looks that way, and a huge part of that, you know, about coaching perhaps generational quarterbacks. Obviously, what you had in Indy with Peyton, and Jayden's a different type of player, but the early returns look like this is a guy that's going to matter in the league for a really long time. What have you seen so far from Jayden?
There is no question about it. I've just been in awe. And Rodney Harrison and I sit there and we watch all the games on Sundays before our broadcast. And my mouth is just dropping. I know how difficult it is to come in and play quarterback at a high level your first year. We saw CJ Stroud do it last year and play some amazing ball. And so people are kind of thinking, well, this is natural. This is normal. It's not normal. And Peyton Manning, my quarterback, who's a Hall of Famer and one of the best to ever do it, he was 3-13 with 28 interceptions his first year. That is more the norm.
Right.
But Jayden Daniels, I think the benefit that some of these guys have had, and we've talked about it on our show, Jayden, and it's just different when you transfer, you moved around, you played in a couple of different systems in college, and you started 50, 55 games. So you're not playing just on a 1 year basis, or you've had a few games in college. He is well oiled, well versed. He knows the game of football, and I think that's helped him. Bo Nix, same way at Denver, playing a couple of different systems, playing big games, and you played a lot of football. You come in a little bit more ready for it than maybe the average rookie quarterback.
Sure. And Jaden's just so composed and keeps cool at all times. What does that do for a locker room? Locker rooms tend to look towards the quarterback for whether it's leadership or just command. And Jayden, even though he's a rookie, seems to have just that coolness and that poise.
I've thought that for years. People look at arm strength and they look at height and they look at a lot of things when they're evaluating quarterbacks. To me, I look for two things when I was looking at quarterbacks: accuracy and poise. If you've got that, you can be a winning quarterback in the NFL. And there's a lot of guys who have great arms And maybe they've got two of the three things. But if you have accuracy and poise, that is what your locker room is looking for. And that's what Jayden has demonstrated to me in these early games. He's putting the ball on the money. He's not making errant throws. And it doesn't matter if it's blitz, if it's 3rd and 8 in the critical situation, if it's red zone. He just is so relaxed out there. He sticks with the game plan. He goes to the right guy and he throws the ball on the money. And that's what franchise quarterbacks do.
It really, to say that about a quarterback in Washington feels so crazy because it's been so long since you could say that. But one more before we get to actual games for this weekend. I know that you at least I don't know if you still live in Indy, but I know for a long time you did. I don't know. This is a random guess, but did you ever see Terry McLaurin? He grew up there. He was a big deal in that area. Loved Marvin Harrison. I'm just curious your take on Terry.
I know the whole story. We know about Scary Terry, and
yeah.
I know he was a Marvin Harrison fan, and you couldn't emulate a better role model. Marvin Harrison came to practice every day, worked hard, never said 2 words, just had his mind focused on being the best receiver in the National Football League. And that's what I see from Terry. He has that attitude. I want to be the best. I want to make the big plays when we need it. And it's not about talking about the game or any of that. It's about playing down in and down out. And yeah, no, he's a legend in Indianapolis, and rightfully so.
All right. Big game, obviously, Thursday night, first place in the NFC East on the line. What do you think? Young, upstart Washington team going to take on the Eagles?
This is going to be a test for the Commanders. What they've got is a big moment against the team in Philadelphia now that has found their stride, and they're playing well. I was concerned about Philly early in the year because I didn't think they were playing to their identity yet. We had them in the opening game down in Brazil, and they showed some flashes, and they won the game, but it wasn't Philadelphia-style football, and I didn't see them dominate the line of scrimmage. Well, now offensively, they're running it more than anybody in football, and that's their mentality. Jalen Carter has stepped up his game on defense, and we're starting to see the Philadelphia Eagles. But this Washington team has confidence. They've got talent, and this is going to be a great game. I can't wait.
And then the one on NBC Sunday Night Football, you've got this Bengals team that is just desperate. The Chargers with Harbaugh playing, really good football. What do you make of that matchup out in Hollywood?
Well, I think it's going to be great. I'm glad we flexed to this game because you've got Cincinnati, as you mentioned, in a desperation mode. They can't afford to go to 7 losses. The Chargers are 2 games ahead of everybody else in that wild card race. Well, if they're going to get brought back to the pack, it's got to be Cincinnati. Chargers have a great defense. Cincinnati, explosive offense. Who's going to win that matchup? And I think it's going to come down to pass protection. Cincinnati's got receivers who can get open. Joe Burrow is fantastic. But the Chargers have that Khalil Mack, Bosa pass rushing unit, and they've got to get after Burrow to win the game. So that's what I'm going to be looking at. I think it's going to be a tremendous matchup. And the whole rest of the AFC is rooting for Cincinnati. Bring these Chargers back to the pack.
Yeah, for sure. Coach, I could listen to you and Rodney talk football for hours. You guys should just get your own channel. I'll just watch it for hours. Thank you very much for the time.
Well, thanks a lot. Looking forward to Washington, and hopefully they win, and then we can start flexing into them and maybe get them on Sunday Night Football late in the year here.
Yeah, we'll see. The Atlanta game and the Philly game late in December, early January. Those look pretty interesting for
Could be huge games. Yep.
Thanks a lot, Coach.
Thank you, JP.